Let's call our meeting to order. Thank you all for being here. It's always a delight to come to Toby, to see so many Toby Tigers who are obviously very proud of their school. It was fun to look at your history over here, and I told Mr. Goss that, he needs to work harder because the original building was built for $181,000, and, I'd like to see that again. It was 1955, however. So with that, we'll start with the superintendent's report.
Well, thank you, Dave. To echo what Dave said, it's great to see all of you here tonight. Welcome to everyone watching on our live stream as well. Always very excited to come out to Toby. This is where my kids went to school, so we still talk about the Toby way quite a bit. So great to be here. And very excited about the reports we're going to hear later in the agenda. But before we get to the fun stuff of the agenda, we want to get to the real fun stuff. So I'm going to turn it over to Principal Mr. Barwagen. He's got some introductions to make.
Okay, so actually I'm going to introduce one child and then they're going to move on from there. So we're going to start with Addison Summers to give us an introduction, and they're going to take over.
Addison, before you start, would you like them to have a mic? Oh, never mind. You're on top of it.
Thank you for coming to Toby Elementary for tonight's presentation. We are members of the 5th grade and the Character Council. We are proud to be Toby Tigers and will be presenting about this year and the Toby Way.
T, treat others with respect. O, offer a helping hand. B, be responsible. E, expect excellence. Y, yearn to learn.
I'm an escapee.
The T in the Toby way means to treat others with respect. As 5th graders, we understand that we are the role models for this school. We have many responsibilities, but perhaps our greatest is serving as safety patrols. We are critical at the most unsafe times during the day, arrival and dismissal. We help Mr. B by ensuring that all students come to the gym upon arrival or after breakfast, so we can safely dismiss them to class when the bell rings.
We patrol the halls during this time to remind the students of the Toby way. We also help the students with any problems they have, especially the kindergartners. We help Miss Martin supervising breakfast. We also put up the flag in the morning.
At the end of the day, we help all the younger students get ready. We have a safety patrol or 2 assigned people to each classroom. We make sure everyone gets their bus or car. We make an announcement for the last call of buses. We also monitor the bus ramp. Our job is to keep it safe and remind everybody of the Toby way.
And now the choir, we meet on Wednesday mornings at 8 o'clock in the morning, and we prepared Zoom Valley Valley for you. It's really folk songs, so they're going to sing in Hebrew and
The O in the Toby Way means to offer a helping hand. We help our community with the Kids Heart Challenge. We have currently raised over $25,000.
Our Character Council supports a personal care drive for 12 Baskets Food Pantry during the holidays. This year, we also helped 12 Baskets during Kindness Month by collecting shampoo and toothbrushes.
Our entire school is involved in creating cards for Borges Hospital patients during each holiday. The cards are delivered with their meals. In fact, we are making cards right now for St. Patrick's Day. The Toby Tigers understand that filling someone's bucket is filling your own bucket.
The B in the Toby Way means to be responsible. Responsibility is a character trait we concentrate on often. Teachers work on responsibility with us every day. That is why we need to be here every day. We have an attendance.
Our Character Council recently sponsored Kindness Month. Each Toby Tiger was responsible for their own kindness calendar during the month. It included many simple activities to be kind.
Each 9 weeks, we have reading goals. We have to meet these goals at the 25% mark, the 50% mark, the 75% mark, and the 100% mark. Everyone knows their goals and works to reach it. The entire school is working towards being included in the AR National Honor Roll.
in the Toby Way means to expect excellence. Toby has received some wonderful recognition this year, starting with being recognized by U.S. News and World Report as one of Michigan's best elementary schools. Representative Matt Hall and Sean McCann recognized Toby with this wonderful certificate of achievement, which says Toby's achievements serve as shining examples of what can be accomplished when educators, families, and students work in harmony, united in the pursuit of success.
Toby Elementary also reached a goal of the classification as Michigan State School of Character. We have been working on this for 6 years and reached the goal. We are one of 94 schools across the nation and 7 in Michigan to be recognized as a State School of Character.
The Y in Toby Way means yearn to learn. We have continued to work towards our goals in reading each 9 weeks. I've already reached my goal. We're getting ready for the M step, and we know that we can do our best. We have been working hard all year, and we are ready to show what we know. We take our time, stay focused, and use what we have learned to answer each question. No matter what, we are proud of ourselves for trying our best.
Last month, February, we concentrated on kindness. Being kind releases serotonin, which increases learning. At Toby, we yearn to learn. Character is also very important for the life lessons it teaches. I was able to be part of the interview committee for the National School of Character with 4 of my friends. We were interviewed on Zoom. Do you have any questions about the interview or the process?
Were you nervous?
Not really. No.
Nervous, Keevan, weren't you?
I was real nervous, yeah. I'm glad you guys weren't.
Anyone else?
Did they make you feel welcome? Yeah, what'd they ask?
Mainly like about the, just like character, that's what it says, the students and the teachers, like communicating and stuff like that, yeah.
Yep, it's 11 things that they tested us on, but I do not remember all the 11.
It was just saying like how your school is and what like how the learning is in the school and the Toby Way.
Well, thank you guys for doing that. Look forward to the results. Let's give it up. All right, one more.
Just a big round of applause for Toby Tigers. All right.
Thank you all, Toby Tigers. Congratulations on your awards for excellence, both in academics and character. And keep doing the good you know. It's good words for all of us. I think we'll take a little break here because we got school tomorrow and kids need to get to bed. And we want them to be excellent tomorrow as they were today.
Yeah.
Well, that was. I can't imagine they want to stay. Really?
I got practice still. So.
You have what?
Aaron's at practice
If
right now.
we
I got to be done by
could,
9.
the kids can grab their food and go.
Mary Poppins.
We've got a lot to get through, and we'd like to get to it.
This weekend, Saturday.
The play at high school.
Yep.
I don't think
Is there a
anybody
ticket?
can.
Buy a ticket?
Of course.
Yeah. But you don't have to get ahead.
I can try to
I would.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Clap one.
There you go.
All right, here we go.
I won. Really?
Oh, well, I'll go up for recess. I'll be fine.
David, do you want me to use a teacher voice? Would that help?
We'll let her get the piano out of the way.
Anything under 30.
Great. That was fantastic.
pictures.
Well done.
Told me
We're going to try to do the good we know.
Have a good night.
Yes.
the last 10% will take the
Thank
next
you.
9.
Oh, I see. Just real slow.
I still I do all the stretches, physical therapy and stuff.
Good for you.
Swim all the time.
Good.
That helps a lot.
All right.
Swim, I get in the hot tub, then it loosens up, but by the end of the day, it's still
Stiffens up. Heck of a
Yeah,
deal.
because we're not if you want to hear better, you may want to move up, because I don't know that we're ready to go.
Make sure that they can hear you back there.
No, they're fine. I just didn't want you to just
All right, we'd like to resume our meeting, so Mr. O'Neill, I think the ball's in your court.
Well, thank you, Dave. Wonderful presentation and wonderful music. That was just a great way to kick off the meeting. Thank you, Mr. B. Just wanted to highlight a couple things. Activity in Lansing has definitely started to pick up. Couple things with that, with a lot of the orders and things going on at the federal level. The state is working on our side on that. But also, Governor Whitmer did deliver her State of the State address the last week in February, and I just wanted to briefly touch on it because she did highlight some of her education priorities in her speech. One, which probably a lot of you have heard about, was limiting cell phones in the classroom. And I want to thank the Board of Education Cell Phone Policy Committee for the meeting today. I thought it was extremely productive. Also, another priority was investing in reading strategies. Looking forward to hearing what that's all about. Increasing post-secondary enrollment across the state of Michigan. And lastly, streamlining licensing systems to honor trade licenses from other states. And basically what that is, the state has worked hard with the educator shortage to allow teachers with certifications from out of state to come to the state of Michigan, and rather than take redundant certification exams again, they've streamlined it to allow just to do some other minor things so that they can get in the classroom and help us out. So this is just another way with our career and technical education to get more people working in the state of Michigan. So again, there's going to be a lot more information coming out on these priorities. And as always, priorities are attached to dollars. And dollars we'll know more about those as the budget process goes on. I don't anticipate a budget for a long time. I'm hearing everything maybe into the fall. Let's hope that's not the case, but stay tuned as that unfolds. Also wanted all of the trustees to take a look at pages 2 and 3 in the School Equity Caucus regarding the new SMART plan that Governor Whitmer rolled out and the potential funding associated with key components of that plan. Again, I think there's just some interesting things within that I think we all want to just stay on top of as it moves through Lansing. Also, there are many new bills that are being introduced, not at the frantic pace of lame duck, but certainly more bills are coming out after 3 months of quiet. In the one package of bills that just recently was released, it's about easing teacher certifications, easing teacher fees for certifications and recertifications, as well as endorsements. I'm looking forward to seeing how these play out. Again, all designed to ease the process of getting teachers in the classroom. So I applaud these bills and look forward to seeing how they unfold over the next month or so. Lastly, I'd like to draw your attention to the important dates Of course, the big important dates coming up is spring break. We're almost there. I think everybody's excited about it, and a beautiful day gets you in the mood for spring today, for sure. But just a couple of highlights. Our Vicksburg High School Theater will be putting on Mary Poppins, and that starts this weekend, Saturday and Sunday. Saturday at 7, Sunday at 2. And then the following weekend, they will also be performing Friday, I believe that's the 21st. That'll be a 7 p.m. show, and then Saturday, well, the 22nd will be a 7 p.m. show. Hopefully you can come out. It's going to be impressive, as always. And then just a couple other highlights in the fine arts. Sunset Lake's third grade music program will take place the last week before spring break on the 25th, 7 o'clock in the PAC. And then we will be on spring break Friday, March 28th through April 5th. And with that, that's my report.
Oh, Kevin, where are the high school principals tonight?
Oh, I just got an update. So our Lady Dogs varsity basketball, they are in the regionals today. And I just got the first update. We're up 13-5, end of the first. And you know, you never root for teams to lose. But I also got the update in game 1, Paw Paw got killed by over 32 points. Wow. Which I don't know if that's a good thing or not. Depending on, we're going to have to play that team, whoever, took it to Paw Paw. So, but I'll keep updating everyone as scores roll in. But also, board, I sent out some updates, sports, as they wrapped up in the winter. Really good stuff. State champion Jordan Butler in individual bowling. First time in Vicksburg history for that. Jordan, hopefully, if everything works out, we'll have him at the April board meeting. So start preparing questions if you have them. And also, Sawyer Stevenson finished 6th in wrestling in his weight class. So really great winter sports season and still going with our girls. So
Nice.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our next agenda item is a proposal for American history since 1980. Mr. Robertson Zartman, or Gail, you're going to start it off? Yeah, this is the mic that they have live. You can certainly angle that so that you can speak to us, but use that mic right there. You might want to raise it slightly for him. There you go. There you go.
I just thought it would be helpful before we look or hear about the proposals to go over the process a little bit with you. So proposals come to the board when we're going forth with or proposing a primary textbook or resource as well as a new course. And so, but before it even gets to this point, it goes through a number of different processes. First, it starts with the pre-proposal initiation. So if someone gets an idea for a new course or a new resource, they will fill out the pre-proposal just to see if it's even has a chance of going through. And so we look at a variety of things such as does it fit with our existing, vertical alignment and our coursework and our priorities within the district. And then if it passes through that piece, then a full proposal, which is what you see tonight in 2 of these courses, comes through the district continuous improvement leadership team. And so the role of that team is to really review the proposals to see one final check. Is this really aligned with the priorities of our district? Is this something that we see fitting in K-12 within our course of alignment? And is it within is it a reasonable cost for us to consider these resources? So all of those steps are put into place. It's a process, evidence-based background research. It doesn't just, if it's pretty, we buy it. It's really a rigorous process that these guys will test to that we use for our proposal process. And so, yeah, Matt Brussi is here. He is going to share with you both proposals. He's going to start with the one that has his name on it, so we're going to flip the ones on the agenda. You're going to hear about the history through film proposal first. So, Matt?
All right, thanks, Gail.
Yeah.
All right, before I get started, I just want to take a second, and I have a few students here, if you guys could wave. So we got Addie, Taylor, and Marie, that I've talked a lot about this class as I went through the process, and so cool that they want to come in and support this. They're like, Mr. Presley wants a board meeting, you know, so thank you to the parents too. The course that I'm talking about is a history through film course. And it's kind of in with Daryl Zartman at the high school. So it's both very different, but both the same kind of process that we're approaching with it. So to go back a little ways, I don't really like to bring this up very often, but when I taught at Gull Lake for a while, they had this course. And I know, I'm sorry. I know, look at that, the looks I give that. I won't mention that I was at Three Rivers for a little while too. But besides that, I'm from Vicksburg. This is where I wanted to be. So, I coached high school basketball at Gull Lake, and the guys would always talk about this class that they love, and it was the history through film class that they offered at Gull Lake. So it just kind of was one of those things that I just kind of put in the back of my head. And as we've gone through here at Vicksburg, you know, from day one when the kids walk in the door, I always tell them, I know history is not always your favorite class. My goal is by the end of the year, it's going to be. That's always my goal. I want you to love it. I want you to enjoy it. I want you to be interested in it. So as we've gone through, some of them included have brought up hey, Mr. Presley, have you seen this movie? And it's like, well, there's some things that are accurate about it. There's some aren't. And we have conversations about it. So that, long story short, I got thinking about this and then realized the high school was wanting to do kind of the same type of thing. So got kind of in contact with Daryl and Kyle Roberts and kind of started this process a little bit. This fall, I surveyed over 400 students at the middle school asking about, is this a class that you'd be interested in? And over about 70% of them said absolutely yes. So the numbers are there. They're excited about it. I get emails about it. There's certain people in this room that ask me about it quite often. When is it approved? Is it not? So it's like, yep, there's process. We're going to do this. We're going to do this right. We're going to make sure that everything is tied up good, that we feel very confident going into it. So like I said, 70% of them said that this is something they're interested in. Just today, before coming in, one more time, guys, this is what the class will be if it gets passed. Are you interested in it? And over 90% of them raised their hands today. So they're excited, and it's really cool to see them excited about something social studies related. Just a few things that is really important to me, and I know it's important to Daryl and Kyle too, is we don't want it to be just social studies. I've talked to Amy Sue Manley, our wonderful librarian. I want to focus on research and critical thinking skills that we're seeing a little bit of a lack over where we do challenge points and things like that. We want to offer them not just electives that will cover some of this stuff. So we talked to her about setting up times that they can work. We can teach them proper techniques on the research and stuff. And how this might look is if we watch a video, it's like, okay, you have all these different characters that are real people throughout history. As we watch it, we're taking notes on them, and then we go into the research side of things when it's done. So very, very clear with them that this isn't just you pop a movie in and you go. Yeah. There's rigor behind it. There's things behind it that we're going to be looking at. And the goal is to prepare you for high school. So with that being said, I know Mr. Zartman would say the same thing. It's an elective for 10th, 11th, and 12th graders at the high school level. He's had numerous kids talking to him about it. There's a lot of, I have to approach it a little bit differently at the middle school level, obviously, because type of movies and things like that we're going to be watching are edited. It's going to be one of those things that parents, sign a waiver, and if they don't return the waiver, then you can't take the class type of thing. So we put a lot of time and effort into figuring this out, and the kids are very, very excited about it. So I think that's pretty much what I wanted to say as far as this one that I want to teach, and Mr. Zartman. I think it's a really good entry level for those that are interested in AP U.S. history too, once we get to the high school level. Are there any questions about this one? Yeah, Mr. Burmeister.
Yeah, Matt, thank you very much. Appreciate it. It looks really cool to me. I know you kind of spoke to this on the waiver part.
Yeah.
I'm assuming, like, because in the high school, not a lot, but some of those films are R-rated, so you would pick the films, and then the parent could ultimately know before they sign up for the elective what films are in and what films are not in.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know as we're going through with these films, it's like we're just tying it to the eras that we're going to talk about.
Yep.
And those, they could switch. We can think of more, like for me at the middle school level, I wanted to make sure that I was being consistent with kind of what we do, because I teach 7th grade.
Yeah.
And then with the 8th grade, so, getting those areas that we might not be able to hit as hard as we want to as far as standards go, but to give it a little bit extra time. And there might be other movies that come out like, oh, hey, that one would be great. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
No, you said you're editing these movies?
Yeah.
Would you guys be editing these?
So-
Or are you getting a version of it that's...
So there's Amazon offers ClearPlay, which allows me to go in and I can edit any violence, swearing, whatever it is. I edit all of that out, and I'll be watching all of this before I actually show it anyway. So I would make sure, and that's where having so many movies is really nice to have that option. So if I go through it, I'm like, yeah, this isn't going to work. We'll move on to a different one. So, but they have all the editing right online now, which is really, really nice. Saves a lot of time.
Would all of the movies be watched in class, or would any of these be kids having to watch the movies at home? And
no, this would just be in class, and sometimes it might be just portions of the movies, might be the whole movie. I care more that, one, the kids are all excited to come in and have this be part of what their day is, and two, the research and the project side of it. That, because they'll be like, yeah, we'll watch this, and then it might be a week of diving in the library. It might be a week of us getting presentations around, but I want to make sure it's very research oriented. So one movie might take a week or two by the time we get through a unit.
So I guess I'm going to be on the opposite thing. I don't want to see the movies edited, because I think if you have a story like Emmett Till,
yeah,
I think the violence is really important, that these kids recognize what happened to this young man and the true story of what happened to him and why, and how that we're learning about that now, because his story is one that's not often told.
Yeah.
I mean, if I could teach a history class, this is the one I've always wanted to teach, so I'm awesome. Beyond excited. I took a class in college. I was a history and religion major called Jesus and Art and Film, and we convinced our professor to watch Life of Brian, so I count on you guys to have a little fun. But I do see some of these titles I think are a little problematic, and you were talking about, okay, this isn't actually what happened, or you will be having some conversations to correct some of those. I mean, because Pocahontas, I think, is an awful movie.
Yeah.
We had to watch Braveheart and then go back through and pick the whole thing apart, how absolutely none of it really happened, you know. But yeah, I think for high school especially, if you get that permission, show it.
Yeah.
You know, when Schindler's List was aired on television, there was more fuss over the topless scenes of Schindler's girlfriends than the concern of the horrors of the Holocaust. And I want to make sure these kids, and I know they know these things because they've seen this, but I don't want to edit out the real history that we need to make sure that we don't keep repeating.
Yeah, absolutely. And then through this whole process, I mean, I have 2 daughters. You know, so as a parent, I understand. I understand what that looks like. I understand, and obviously they're younger, they're in elementary, but so it's a sensitive thing, I completely get that, and I want to make sure it's very consistent, and the expectations are very between the kids and the parents. I'm I'm not hiding anything. This is what it is. If if this is a class you think your child will love, please sign them up, because
I appreciate that it's an elective too. So if you are going to be fussy over the movies, well then do something else.
So in the middle school, we would be covering basically the rise and fall of empires, and then we would go through the kids love mythology, right, Marie? You love mythology.
You got Star Wars on here.
I know, I saw that.
Yeah, Star Wars and the Roman Republic, and the connections they can make. It's just making it fun, making it they want to learn. They want to learn this stuff, and they think it's a lot of fun. So this is a really fun way to bring more social studies to them, which I'm all about.
We do have
So-
a Clash of the Titans exhibit right now at the Kalamazoo Valley Museum,
That's
it's all
cool.
Harryhausen movies, so if you need to work a little extra credit in before
Okay,
the class
perfect.
starts, send it in.
That's not for you, Taylor or Addie, by the way, the extra credit. That's for next year.
It won't be there next year, they gotta go
So,
now.
yeah. Yeah, are there any other questions about the?
So, Matt,
Yeah.
I appreciate this whole piece of information, and I think this class would be amazing. I would take it for sure. And my kids did take something, so I don't remember what the name of it was at Loy Norks, and they loved it. So you have so many movies on here. So are you going to do parent permission, like for the whole class or
That's
per
the
movie?
plan. That's the plan. It'll be right at the beginning. It'll be with the syllabus.
Okay, so then you'll have decided like which films you're going to
Yes.
show in which
Yeah.
grades or whatever.
Yeah,
Okay.
because we want to make sure that we get that out right with the syllabus, if there's any questions, there's times for the parents to ask it, you know.
Nice.
But, yeah, that's where, I know with the high school, it's a little different. You know, with Daryl and doing the little bit older, the older grades, it's a little
Yeah.
bit different than what down in 8th grade with me. But I want people to ask questions. I want people to be comfortable with it.
Yeah,
So-
yeah, I think it's amazing. It'd be fun, a really fun class.
So, and Heidi Burmeister asked her, and she's like, yeah, that sounds great. I'm like, sorry, you're gonna have to wait till high school though, so, you know. Yeah. Are there any other questions about that one before I go on to the next one?
If you need help with the movies, just let me know.
Okay, perfect. I know who to contact. Yeah. So, sorry, is there any other questions before I go on to the next one? Okay. So this one's from Mr. Roberts. I know he was really bummed he couldn't be here, but I don't think he's that bummed.
I was gonna
because,
say,
you know,
where is he, remember?
his text to me was, I'm really sorry I couldn't be there tonight. Nah, okay. I think that's pretty cool where you're at, actually. So he is really, I've had quite a few conversations with him about this one with America history since 1980. And speaking as a social studies teacher, even though I don't have a lot of high school experience, you know, a lot of what they get through with the standards and getting up to about Vietnam or so, you know, and then you run out of time. There's so much to talk about, so many things that are really important for the kids to know, that he is really passionate about this class, where it's like, okay, this is an elective, let's continue on. Let's talk more about some of these things that your parents easily can relate to, and, you know, whether some of the things that he wants to talk about are the Cold War, globalization, dawn of the digital age, war on terror, things like that high schoolers are very interested in. He told me in one of the texts that, you know, he's hopeful for this class because he said there was seniors that he was just talking to that said that they're really bummed that this wasn't being offered because they totally would have taken it as an elective. And again, it's just that it's social studies, the history. Kids sometimes don't even realize how much they're interested in this stuff. And I think for high school juniors, seniors, whatever, that are about to go off into the world, I think this is another way, whether it's going to college or career ready, like these are just some of these things that just knowing it is a positive for them. So I know he talked about in here too, a few of the things that, you know, there's not a lot of like history electives, and he wants to offer the kids a chance to have that if they want it, which it sounds like there's a lot of actual interest in it. And then the big other thing was to bridge that gap between where they leave off in U.S. history courses, and then after their sophomore years, a lot of them don't take social studies or history again. And he wants to do something about that. And it's the same thing with Daryl with the history of film class. So I can't go quite as much in depth with Kyle's, but I'd be happy to try to answer some questions. Yeah.
Just one question I had is when, and this, obviously, if you can answer it, great. If not, we can work on answering it. When does current history get integrated into like U.S. history in some way? I'm for, like, I like the idea of the class. It's not, I'm anti this class. I'm more, when does 1980s, 90s, 2000s get integrated into US history, AP
So
history. Those
right now, it really doesn't, as far as I know. Like it does maybe a little bit, and I know that there are standards starting to get to that point, but there's so much there's so much in U.S. history. It's hard to get through it, and yeah.
Are you guys still watching CNN 10 before classes to like hit current events?
I don't know if they do that at the high school or not.
Because I know that was Mr. McCaw's thing, and my son absolutely loved that. So I wasn't sure if that was still going on.
Yeah.
I mean, would this class include any current events or try to relate to what's happening in the world today? Because a lot of what happens now is impacted by what happened 10, 15 years ago, and start getting these kids engaged on how to understand the news and what to look for in the news and be a contributing member of society outside of their just little community. That's important.
Yeah,
They can
absolutely.
Start now. So I didn't see anything in the curriculum that really talked about current events.
It was, when I asked him about the supplemental materials that are listed in the budget proposal, he said that would be a lot of things, the current events that you can't put in a proposal yet because they aren't here yet.
Right.
Until they're like.
Current.
So those are the things that are gonna come into the supplemental materials, and yes, he's thinking that there will be current events in here as well.
Great. Matt, if you know, so I see like the war on terror and its aftermath, so you have the 9/11 attacks.
Yeah.
So there's, as we all are probably kind of figuring this out, we've got information from this and information from this, and I believe there's a class, because I talked to a high school student a couple days ago, and it may be the history class, where he was telling me they're actually learning how to find the truth. I don't know how this teacher's doing that, but how are you going to have them research what the truth is, not what maybe a movie showed, or, because, I saw 9/11 movie, and some of it's probably absolutely accurate and some of it's made up.
Yeah.
So
I think.
How do you guys do that?
How I would answer this, maybe, and I hate to speak for Kyle, but my job as a social studies teacher is to teach the facts. That, it's not my job to teach it one way or another. My job is to teach the kids how to come to those facts. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I think it goes for both classes. That's where research is huge, because you dig in, you know what's trusted, what are these. I get right now, there's a lot of different things coming from a lot of different directions,
Right.
But as for the kids, it's like these are the tools for research.
Okay.
These are the things that you need to have your own opinions, and I think that's what with both of these classes is huge, is they get to express their opinions in a spot that's. It's not judgmental. This is it. I mean, I want you to back it up.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I really quite answered your question.
No,
there.
you did, because these are lifelong tools, right? To be able to, it doesn't matter what you're doing, what is the truth? They just want to know what the facts are.
Yeah.
And be able to find that, yeah.
Them to think critically.
Yeah.
And that's, in this digital age.
Right.
We have to do that all.
Yeah, yeah.
To think critically. Is this, and deciphering what's true and what's not.
Right, nice.
Are these all-year classes, or are they half-a-year class?
They'd be semester classes.
So one
both of them all of them would be semester classes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you could give more kids the opportunity.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
way.
Yeah, that's the goal.
And it's an elective, is it worth, how many credits, I guess?
Half.
Half credit.
Half credit.
Yep.
You might have to teach it in the summer.
Well, I'm
To get enough people.
So I gotta be honest that when I've talked about it, and the kids back here would know it, but it's, that when they're all bugging me about it in a positive way about is this being passed or not yet, they're like, they did the math and they're like, wait, you're only teaching it 1 hour. So does that mean only 30 of us get in at one time? And then I'm like, well, yeah. Yeah, but, that's why high school too, you can do it in high school also if the schedule doesn't line up for here. So the fact that they're so excited about it is really cool.
Yeah.
Great.
Could you teach it in an auditorium, with 100 kids?
Don't tell Digert that, because she'll probably try to figure something out. Oh, library, gym.
Do they have an
Yeah.
Are you doing like one semester, the
Yeah.
other one the second semester,
Yep,
or are you
so-
doing a film and a film?
I'll just do a film and a film. It'll
Okay.
I'll restart it at the semester.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you could potentially take in one semester, you could take both a film class and modern U.S. history.
Well, so this is
At the high school.
At the high school, yeah. So
Right.
me at the middle school would just be
Just the film.
The film.
But
Yep.
the high school, you could take both in a year.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Any other questions or comments?
We just vote now.
I appreciate your enthusiasm, and I think it's reassuring to most of us to know your sensitivity having two kids.
Yeah.
That you're sensitive to how you communicate with parents because you're a parent and what you would want to know if your kid was going to class. I think we find that reassuring. But I must tell you, I'm very, very dismayed that I just figured out I could be a primary source for your history class from 1980 to present.
Anytime.
I am a historian because I lived there. But thank you very much for those presentations.
All right. Thank you.
Appreciate it, Matt.
Thank you.
All right. Mr. Goss, you have a hard act to follow.
Yeah, it's going to be tough, but that's like most meetings, so. Just 3 items on the report this evening. I'll go through them fairly quickly, and then we'll move on. Starting with the monthly general fund budget progress report. It says activity through the end of February, and I'll just kind of point out the highlights. On a year-to-date basis, revenue came in at $19,766,321. About 54% of the initial budget. On the expenditure side, looking at the main function groups, total instruction stood at $11,391,188, and support services stood at $9,698,466. And you can see there's a breakdown there for athletics and community services, totaling not quite $800,000. And so total expenditures year to date, $21,875,928. Second page of that report summarizes the expenditures by object code. Salaries and benefits are the majority, and on a year-to-date basis, just over 55%. $16,636,401, and then below that, you can see that purchase services came in just below $2.2 million. Supplies just under $1.7 million, capital outlay at just over $1.25 million, and other expenditures at $138,507. So again, year-to-date expenditures $21,875,928. Any questions on that? If not, then take a quick look at the investment update. These are the investments. Again, this would not include checking accounts. These are all investment funds made up of eligible investments that are legal for school districts in the state of Michigan. And so the investments are broken out between the 4 funds that currently have funds invested. We've got the 2022 and the 2024 building and site funds. Between the 2 of them, a little over $10 million in total. Of course, a lot of that will be spent down this summer. Debt retirement, we have just under $1.1 million. And then general fund investments, we're at $3,295,000. We continue to look pretty good as far as rates go. Those liquid investment funds currently for the month of February range anywhere from 4.25% to 4.4%. And down below that, you can see there's a summary of investment income for the month of February and also on a fiscal year-to-date basis. Any questions on that?
No, I have a question though. Can Keevan's comment earlier about we won't necessarily see state budgets till maybe even late fall next year. Do we need to go into budgeting with a conservative hand and with the anticipation that we could not see funds we typically get, so we're not overstretching ourselves?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. It's not really uncommon to not have a budget passed by June 30th, or certainly when we adopt the initial budget. And we're, as Keevan mentioned, the governor had her budget proposal release that, and that is really just the first step. And so we'll be watching very closely how that process unfolds. And even though we may not have a final budget, until maybe September, we should have a pretty good sense for kind of the direction things are going. I'd say the next really significant milestone in that process will be the May revenue consensus meeting, because that'll give us an updated view on how revenue collections at the state level are going. I think that could be interesting, just because, there's a little bit of disturbance, uncertainty regarding the economy, and so it'll be interesting to see if revenues start to slow down at the state level. But, we'll have to wait until that happens. So we won't know for certain, but we always try to be reasonably conservative, not, I try not to be, doomsday conservative, but I try to just use the best information that we have available at the time, and then I will typically kind of give perspective on, okay, these are the main assumptions, and here's kind of the range. Here's how they could change. Here are the various proposals that are out there. So, yeah, we try to be conservative. Does that answer your question?
No.
One of the things I think as Steve goes through that process and talks us through that process, he's very clear what assumptions we're making and why, and pointing out they are assumptions, which really makes it difficult.
Yeah. Right? We won't know what we'll have a projection, we'll have an idea of what our enrollment will look like, but we won't know that number until, the beginning of October. And then, there's collective bargaining, we'll be doing a fair amount of that this year. That, we won't know if that'll be wrapped up by June 30th or not. That can be tough to nail down if we don't have a budget. So there are a lot of moving parts with all of that. And so we'll try to keep the board updated and informed, and make the best decisions that we can at the time.
And you always have done that. You've said in past years, I go conservatively, but not too conservatively, to keep our options as open as possible, because, we don't know about the budget.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that.
All right, other questions on either of those items? All right, if not, third one, included in the board's packet is a memo requesting authorization to move ahead with furniture purchase. That total is $913,061, and that will replace a lot of chairs and some desks. And it's, it's a process, but this would be, this will work well, because we're doing a lot of floor replacements this summer, and so it'll be an opportune time to get old chairs out and replace them with new ones. We'll make sure that the chairs have the appropriate casters for the floor, and we'll go from there.
Has anyone sat in these chairs?
We've had.
Yes. They don't.
So all of these chairs, to my knowledge, have been piloted at different times over the last several years. So these are chairs that have been tested.
Okay, and kids aren't complaining about them? Okay.
Certainly not that
I think I probably would, so I'm just wondering, But, okay, that's great. I mean, they look great, but then I'm looking at them and thinking, yeah.
Yeah, we've had,
Are they?
pilot classrooms in all buildings, and we've tested different things, so.
So we have some of this furniture in our buildings right now?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
They
are much better. They are, okay. Okay.
Any questions regarding the furniture before we move on? Mr. B?
Oh,
You're
Mr.
up.
B.
All right. So, the high school guys aren't here tonight because I have a version for when they're here, which lasts about an hour and a half.
51 slides in it?
Yeah, that's it. So, what's that?
Should we go up there?
Yeah, probably. I mean, unless you just want to turn it on, it's up to you.
I think I'll go out there.
Pretty casual. So the first thing is just a shout out to my PTO. None of them, some of them were here earlier, they left when the crowd left. Oh, you want me to have the mic, right? Any one of them? Okay.
This is true, no.
So a shout out to the PTO. I'm just going to read off their names here. President Caitlin Harville, Vice President Chelsea Lawrence, Secretary Alicia Sperling, Treasurer Joel Carrick, Volunteer Coordinators Abigail Adams and Kristen Middall, Communications Davey Canny. So when I look at that list, it's kind of sets a tone for this meeting because two of those people on my Toby PTO are former students of mine. So it's kind of the tone for this meeting, right? One thing they do a lot, the PTO does a lot for Toby. For those of you that have been around for a while, you know all the stuff that they've done. And I don't want to go into the exhaustive list, but this year raised a lot of money in our, when you walk out, you can look and see there's a banner on the half wall that's out there when you leave Toby that has our sponsors from this year. And they did a great job with the fundraiser at the beginning of the year. But most recently was just Saturday. And they sponsored the 70th anniversary of Toby, 1954 to 2024. And I put some of the stuff out here, well, partly to get it off the stage so the stage didn't look that bad, too. But that you can see, we had a lot of people come on Saturday. It was a kind of a great event. We had a lot of fun things for the kids that are the current kids, but we had a lot of alumni come. In fact, we had a parent or a alumnus come that was here for the very first ever class at Toby. He was in third grade when Toby opened up in 1954. Mr. Polier, you probably know him. Yep. Yep. And he was here, and he was so excited going through all the stuff and naming all of his friends and who's still alive and who's not and things like that. And then we had our time capsule. You can see it there. When I first came here 22 years ago, the second year I was here, I believe, we had a time capsule that was buried out there, and I had to unbury it. And we had the biggest celebration. I don't know if Kathy remembers. Huge celebration. I thought, this is my second year here. I'm going to get everybody here, everybody. We got everybody and dug it up, and, I got to it, and it was a tackle box, surrounded by duct tape. And so I pulled it up, and sure enough, it was full of mud, nothing in it.
Oh.
The whole place was disappointed. So we found a time capsule company and bought that time capsule and reburied it, and it worked this time. So it was kind of cool. Kind of worked. There's a little leak to it, but you can see this is that's out of the time capsule from over 20 years ago. And so the little presentation that you saw today, we've been doing that for over 20 years now with the Toby Way and all the character traits and everything. So it's really kind of a neat thing. That was in there, and some of the other relics were there. And we had several adults now that came back, and Kathy was here and saw those ones that used to be kids here, and they came back and because they wanted to see their stuff that was in the time capsule. And my oldest son, Abraham, was here he was in third grade when we buried that time capsule, and one of his good friends came back. They hadn't talked to each other in 20 years, so I FaceTimed him at the time that he was here, and they started chatting, and Bryce Hill was the kid. He took my phone and started walking down the hallway, and he was talking about old times, and so that was kind of a neat thing. And Mr. Brussy was here, and it was quite the event that our PTO put on. So big shout out to them, even though they left after the first presentation. So. So our theme for this year, you guys know that we do themes every year, and I wanted to kind of share this because our themes are cute and funny, but there's meaning behind every one of them that we do, every single one. If you look at, like last year, we had the pit crew there. If you remember, that was all about PLCs and teamwork, and we showed a video of a pit crew. If you've never seen a video of a pit crew of a Formula One car, it's worth Googling. At last, they come in, and it's, 1.2 seconds or something, and the car's back out of the pit. And so we talked about teamwork and everything. So all these themes, except for one, really has a meaning. And many of them that you see, because these are most recent ones over the last 10 or so years, 11 years, have to do with either teamwork, working together, setting a goal, all those things, except for the one up in the corner of the SS Minnow. Okay, so the reason for that theme is because they swear that I look like the skipper, and so that's why they had that theme. And so that was the one theme that we really didn't have a meaning to it. But this year it's 16 seconds. And to the board members, I sent that video out. I don't know if you watched it. It's worth the watch. And it talks about relationships. And so that's our theme for this year. And especially for me here at Toby. And, if I had to say any message to the other principals, it's all about relationships. It's all about relationships. You get those going, and everybody in your building's got to understand that, because I can't have all those relationships with that many kids, so it's got to happen from everybody. So that was our theme for this year, the 16-second theme, and we've really worked on that pretty hard. And that was the question I was going to ask the kids. I don't know if you saw, they had the 16 button on, and they were so excited to do the school song, I didn't get to ask my question, but I was going to ask them, because they'll tell you about it. They'll tell you about that video. They'll tell you about the meaning behind it, and the idea that, setting a goal, not at the expense of those relationships. So that's our theme for the year. The other thing about, and I won't go back to the slide because I'm hurrying. The other thing about those themes, the character school that we were working to, which is really, for the board members, I sent that out to you too, those 11 principles of the school character. That's really kind of a reform package for some schools. And for us, it really wasn't a reform, but it was a refining, and hit those points if you saw those points. And those themes were going right along with some of those points. And so it's really kind of neat to be able to concentrate, kind of a fun way to have an entire school concentrate on a theme that improves your school, but they think it's, fun. And it's not that, and the teachers kind of understand that, right? Yes, okay. Good. So I'm actually doing a quick presentation because especially the two new board members, I'm not known for that. I'm known for going on and on and on. So you've seen this, the key principles, non-negotiables, professional learning community. Professional learning community meaning working as a team, right? So I'm just going to talk about the 4 words in red up there, starting with values here at Toby. And what we do with the, oh, come on. Sorry, this is. All right. So the values here, everything we do is centered around the Toby way, right? And it makes it simple of what we talk about and what we do. You've seen this graphic before, social emotional learning, right? So 20 years ago, we took this graphic and tied character education into it. So we've been working on this for a long time, and we've had character traits, and one of the things in our character award that we're working towards was, do you revisit those traits, and do you revisit what you do all the time? And so over the years, we've changed out. We had dependability and reliability changed out for humility, different things like that. And so we have revisited that and tied it in. The character pieces that you see that line up with the 5 pillars in the SEL diagram, those actually have standards. Those are standards that are put out, and they correlate with those parts of the SEL, and I'll show you that in a second. So what does all that mean? Well, what that means is every couple of weeks, 2-3 weeks here, we concentrate on a different character trait. So this morning, we started honesty, right? So March 10th through March 27th, we talk about honesty. And we do that. Honesty, we hit twice a year. There's 2 standards there that we talk about, and what we do is we introduce that at a Toby community on Friday, which is an assembly. We split it in half. We have kindergarten through 2nd grade in here for the assembly, and we talk about kind of the start of that. And then we get a little more integrate, or a little more advanced when we bring the 3rd and 5th in and talk about that. And then spring break, there's an honesty challenge, and we introduce that on March 21st. It's reinforced virtually in a Toby community, and for some of you know that we do that virtually. We started that back in the pandemic, right? And so we have a virtual Toby community on the 27th that reinforces that character trait. Teachers then know what the character trait is. For those that have been around here a long time, they know how to integrate that into their lessons and talk about honesty. And we do that with all those character traits that were back in that last frame and going through. You heard the kids talk about kindness. That was the last, we hit that like 3 times a year, and they talked about that a lot in their presentation. Oh, you can do that? Oh, thanks, Gail. Just click. Okay. Perfect. All right. Any questions about that? So if we go back to that, that's the value part of it. Now we're going to look at supports. So supports. Well, this is kind of, I'm presenting this in a way that's a shout out to my teachers, my interventionists, my intervention aides, the paraprofessionals here. It's just a huge shout out for what they've been doing for 22 years, but especially in the last 5 or 6 years. Because we've had 2 things happen in the last 5 or 6 years. For Toby, we've had an increase in the number of kids that we have here, right? So we've gone up, and if you go back to 18-19, we were at 297, now we're at 382. So last year I presented that as, we're growing, if this trend keeps up, wow, because we're pretty, but then this year we kind of tabled off, and Kevin knows, especially at the kindergarten level, a lot of that tabled off, and so, we, as we move forward, probably in pretty good shape about where we are right now. But that increase every year makes it tough, because a lot of the increases for us were kids from other districts and school of choice and things like that. So, again, this is a shout out for my teachers and interventionists. When I look at the M-STEP scores, I always take a look at all the way to the kids that are in 12th grade that went to Toby, right? Or what they did when they were here. Now they're all the way down to 12th grade, so I can look at trends across the board. So what you see there is at the bottom, that's our current seniors. That's what they did in 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade on the M-STEP. And then juniors, sophomores, all the way up to our current 4th graders who just took it last year. And that's the percentage proficient on the M-STEP. So you can see that at the pandemic, coming out of that, there's a drop, right? So it's not that I'm saying that as an excuse why our scores are where they are. However, they took a hit. We took a hit. And one of the things that the teachers here and the interventionists and everybody, when you look at the virtual, that's the grade that cohort was in when they were virtual, okay? And we all know how virtual isn't the same, right? And then the 3 months that we lost at the end of the prior year to going virtual, that's the grade that group was in. So you can see our current fifth graders, they lost 3 months out of their kindergarten year, and then they were virtual on first for that year. So we know that, and so trying to recapture time is where my shout out and my applause to our teachers and our interventionists come in, because they're doing everything they can to recapture that time. And it's tough. It's tough. So with that growth that we've had and the recapture of time, it's tough. But it's gonna, the light at the end of the tunnel is there, and I can see it, and it's coming with these next couple of groups. It's gonna switch back, for sure. If you look at, and that's M-STEP reading, M-STEP math, very consistent. When you look at those cohorts, you guys are following me, right? When the cohorts are going across, these are the seniors, current seniors down here, current fourth graders, okay? And so you can see it's a very similar happening at that time, you know? And so when you look at our STAR data, and here's another shout out for our teachers and our interventionists. So the spring of 23-24, this is our current STAR reading data. Back in the spring, so the end of last year, there's where we were as far as proficiency in reading, okay? When they come back after the summer, there's where we are. So we all know we lose in the summer. I mean, Gail's shaking her head because summer slide, we talk about summer slide, all the time, okay? And here's where the shout out comes. You can see from the beginning of the year to winter, there's where our teachers and our interventionists and our intervention parapros have gotten our kids this year. So they constantly are fighting that time. So again, that data, you know, it's just being transparent with what that data is there, but well, the transparency, and then the shout out for our support staff. So the other word was transparency. Oh, I'm not talking into it, am I?
I don't want to hear you putting that against your jacket.
Is that what it is? Sorry. That means I got to stand right in this spot, right?
You can leave it right there. Walk around.
Okay. So the transparency, I was just transparent about, you know, where we are with data, taking a look at, identifying those areas that we need to improve on. When you look at all that and you look at, you know, M-STEP scores, STAR scores, really, it's all about going back to that one individual student. I mean, you can't say, okay, we're going to improve our M-STEP scores, you know, by next year. No, we're going to pick out the individual students. We're going to intervene with them. We're going to develop relationships with them. We're going to go back to what we do here at Toby and create an environment where they want to be at school and they want to learn. We do all those things, it's going to work. So the things we're doing is working, and it is working. Trust me, these scores are going to start to look different. The action to improve results. So we wanted to recapture time last summer, and all three elementaries are dealing with that recapturing of time, right? And so I skipped both of your reports this year, sorry. I was at home watching them, my leg up, right? So we talked about what can we do in the summer, what can we do in the summer? And in the past, we've done several things in the summer here at Toby, but this year we did the Monster Challenge, right? So there's our monsters right there, so if you wonder, you know, what that's about. And we had 102 kids from Toby that completed the challenge. And we did both reading and math. And so we know that when the 3 elementary principals were talking, we know that elementary kids like collecting things, no matter what it is, right? So it's very cheaply we got these things and put stickers on them. Vicksburg Library was involved. You could go to Vicksburg Library and earn a charm, and so it was a good thing. I was the principal of summer school over at Sunset, and a lot of kids from Indian Lake and Toby were coming over to Sunset to pick up their charms, and so it was a neat thing. You guys are shaking your head, so you know that it was kind of a great thing. But does that recapture all the time? No, but it's there. It's an event. It's an attempt at doing that, and then summer school also. Let's see what's next. So I just highlighted 4 things, and I told you I was going to be quick. This is the end result of all that work that we do, our teachers do every day, the interventionists, everybody else around here that works hard. These are all the Toby students from last year. They come through. Kevin started this years ago, where they come through on one day at the end of the year, and we get to see them. And a lot of great kids, and they're going to make it through. So hopefully a number of these kids will remember what we do here and move on with all those things that we do. So that's the end goal. Then the last thing is just my personal thank you to the school board. 22 years, I'm done at the end of this year here in Vicksburg, and wanted to thank you for your support. I've seen changeover on the school board, right? Dr. Appel was leading the school board when I started, right? And was on my interview committee. So I remember back to that. I remember when Dave came, and I don't remember when Tina came. I can't remember that. That was way before I came, I think.
I take that history class.
But Tina is a Toby Tiger parent, and so we got to go. So I want to thank you for all your support. The stuff that I've seen over the years, just the great stuff that happens in Vicksburg is incredible. School board does a wonderful job. Kevin does a great job. Everybody in this room, all these principals, I've seen all the turnover, but still, when the turnover happens and people are replaced, everything keeps going, and you do a great job. So I'm excited for you and excited for Toby. So do a good job hiring whoever comes in here next, and
Well, we're not
keep
going to
that going.
vote yes for your
Oh,
retirement, just so you're
well,
aware.
Yeah, well, yeah.
You're like
It's
Toodles.
not going to matter probably how you vote. It's not going to matter too much, so. But I appreciate it, and thank you. I got a letter for you there and a button that says 16, and I appreciate all that you have done. So, any questions?
Thank you, Mike. We have heard challenges getting attendance back after other
Oh,
things. Have you
I
had?
didn't put that in there, but yes, we have the same thing. Like if you walk out, you'll see we have an incentive going on. Yeah, that's part of it. It's definitely part of it. We have kids, especially when we have intervention, right? So we know that we have to intervene with a high percentage of kids. Right now, it's roughly 50% of the kids that we have to do extra with at Toby. And kids miss school. I mean, it's changed. And I've seen that, I think the pandemic had something to do with it, but prior to the pandemic, I saw a trend in that direction with just, is it important to be in school? And, the other day we had, and there's been a lot of sickness through the schools recently. I had both my secretary and my secretary's assistant out, so I was secretary, and the place didn't burn down, luckily. But I was answering the phone, and I would say, okay, and we had a lot of people sick. I know Indian Lake had it earlier, and then it came through Toby. And so I'm saying, what kind of symptoms? And the number of people that said, oh, we're just spending the day out because we're going to spend a day together, or we're traveling on the weekend, and so we're taking this day off. What they don't understand is when you have 3, 4, 5, or 6 kids, and Kathy Holliday's 4th grade class out, she can't move forward. And she might review, but then she's got to review again when those kids are back. And so attendance has become an issue. And then when you go as far as the interventionists, when we have a couple great intervention parapros here at Toby that are not certified teachers, but they're as close as you can come to certified teachers, and they've been here for a long time. And when they have a group of 4 kids that they work with, to catch up, they have to have them every day. And that's a big part of how you regain that learning. And when they miss a day, that throws everything off. One day I'll throw it off for that intervention group. And so that becomes a problem. I've called parents and said, hey, your kids are in intervention. Don't miss school. You've got to be here for this period of time. There's a program called Reading Recovery in the past, right? You probably heard of Reading Recovery. So Reading Recovery, the rules for Reading Recovery, if you missed, you're kicked out of that program. A certain number of days, you're done, because they know that they're not going to recover in that period of time that they're shooting for. And that was one of the reasons I didn't like Reading Recovery, because the rules were too rigid on that. But that was built on data. And so that rule was there. And so the attendance is vital. So anybody out there listening, be at school, right? It's vital, especially at the elementary, because when you see falling behind, hard to catch up. So you don't want to fall behind. You want to stay ahead from the beginning, and that's crucial. And so because it's changed, because people look at, oh, it's just kindergarten, no, it's just first grade, they can miss. No, that's not the truth.
Do you work that into your why, yearn to learn?
Oh, yeah. One of them, they said it. I hope they said it. Something about, I think the one guy that was stumbling there, it was actually expect excellence. The first guy that went, that was about attendance. The one that kind of stumbled and kind of went on. It was about the attendance incentives. So we can offer, and the incentives, it's amazing, because the incentives improve the attendance of the kids who already were good attenders. So it's, we got, and when you look at a percentage of our school, like if you look at Toby and said the percentage of attendance every day, 96, 95, pretty good. But it's those specific kids that are receiving interventions that miss at specific times. And so, you need the incentive approach, but I think you also need the hard approach to it. Your kids in intervention, they've got to be at school, sign a sheet, do something, to make, to have them know that we're doing extra for them. So, yeah, that's a big piece. And I know Amy and Sarah talk about it all the time too, that attendance is an issue. And our numbers, like I said, like I saw Indian Lakes, the numbers look great, but I know that certain kids are missing that don't need to be missing. And that's part of the problem. Especially when they miss 3 months. We missed 3 months of school, and then virtual, however you want to say how much you missed when virtual happened. If you go back to that one slide, and I sent those to you guys.
Thank you.
You go back to that one slide and you look, you see that, like I said, our current 5th graders missed first grade was virtual, 3 months of kindergarten. So that's tough to recover from, catch up. And, all the way through. If you even look at the Toby kids that are seniors, they missed 7th and 8th grade. They missed part of 7th grade, and then 8th grade they were virtual. So that's why I can stand up here and say scores are going to get better, because those kids are all going to move through. And we're going to eventually have kids that didn't miss that time. And naturally they'll get better, just because of that.
Any other questions? Thank you for 22 years.
Anybody time that? Let's do it.
Thank you very much, Mike, for that presentation. I guess because it's 22 years, I'll tell a story. Mike was our fifth grade Rising Star basketball coach, and my daughter and his daughter were on the team together. And my daughter Anna had a real dilemma because her mother was going to take her to see Wicked at Miller Auditorium, but it was the championship game against Marshall. And Anna had never seen a big production like that. And so she hemmed and hawed, what should I do? And she decided devotion to her team was important. So her mother went with a friend. And the game came down. It was a tie ball game. It's at the very end, and his daughter Elizabeth was the star of the team, and the other team knew it. And she tried to drive down the middle, and she had 5 people playing defense on her. And Anna was down on the baseline, and she got the pass, didn't hesitate, and hit the shot, and won the game. Yay! And one of our good friends, Mike Slancic, looked at her, and he knew the backstory, and he says, Anna, that was a wicked shot.
And nobody ever beat Marshall.
There you go.
Beat Marshall.
Well, your proudest moment, Mike. So anyway, thank you for 22 years of service, and we'll recognize you next meeting. We need to move on to board action. So we have approval.
Audience.
Oh, yes. First is audience, and we have no one on that has signed up for that. That's why I was moving on, because I knew that. I'm sorry. But we need approval of the following board meeting minutes, and we have our board meeting from February 10, and we have our work session minutes from February 17, and then closed session minutes from March 3rd, I believe. I think I've got that right. So we'll need a motion for approval.
I motion.
So Stephanie and Tina.
It was Lisa.
Excuse me. Oh, Lisa, I'm sorry.
That's all right. Kind of sitting back.
That was that direction. Do we need a roll call on that? Or we just, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Next is approval of general fund invoices totaling $467,978.88.
So moved.
Moved by Tina.
Support.
Support by Stephanie. Got you that time. Any discussion? Stephanie?
Yes.
Lisa?
Yes.
Tina?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
Rick?
Yes.
And yes for me. Approval of purchase card disbursements totaling $66,582.01.
So moved.
So moved by Rick.
Support.
Support by Ron. Any discussion? Stephanie?
Yes.
Lisa?
Yes.
Tina?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
Rick?
Yes.
And yes. Item 4D is approval for American history since 1980, the high school course.
So moved.
Support.
We've got one motion by Tina and a tie over there between Lisa and Stephanie.
Do it.
She
All
can
in
have this one if
favor?
I get the next one.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Let's jump to, we're going to skip Steve's and go to 4F, which is approval for history through film.
So moved.
Support.
Tina and Stephanie, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, let's backtrack and then do the approval of the following furniture purchases of total cost of $913,061 based on pricing from cooperative purchasing organizations as indicated below. All costs to be paid using proceeds from the 2024 bond issue.
So moved.
Support.
Moved by Lisa, supported by Tina.
Are we voting on all of those?
At the same time?
Yeah, I think if with the board's approval, if you want to.
Thank you.
Yeah, for E1 and E2. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And then we have 4G, first reading, approval of the following board policies. And we have board policy 0164.1 and 01442. And these, just for the audience, we're having to deal, we spent a couple sessions just talking about sort of rules for how we operate together as a board, and that led to some revisions. One was just changing the time. That didn't reflect when we actually met. So we need a motion on those.
So moved.
Support.
So Tina and Rick, and we're taking both together? Is everyone
Yes.
cool with it?
Mhm.
Okay. So Stephanie?
Yes.
Elisa?
Yes.
Tina?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
Rick?
Yes.
And yes. And with that, I believe we finished everything.